Hi, I have such a very special interview today. I wanted to do this interview with these two guys because I think the three of us have gone through a lot together over the time they have portrayed the amazing couple of Wilson on Days of Our Lives. And this week you saw them wrap their on-screen run. I know everybody knew about it 7 months ago, but it finally has aired. And we're all so sad to see them go, but I didn't want to let them go without one final interview for now. We don't know what the future holds, but here is Freddie Smith. How are you, Freddie?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I am good. And the Chandler Massey. The Chandler Massey.
Hey.
Hey.
What's going on, Michael? Thanks for having me.
I'm so glad we have this little time together to do this. So I just want to take you back. You know, it's been about 7 months now since you taped those final scenes.
Mm-hmm.
And then what was it? Another month before that you knew you were, I mean, has this all kind of sunk in for you?
It took a few, I'd say a few months to finally sink in. And I think when there's no more episodes now that are airing, I think it's really going to sink in a different level because I've been part of the show even though I've been gone for almost 7 months because I'm on it. So now I think that there's no more airing of Sonny. It's going to feel a little different. But yeah, it took a couple months because it was a 9-year routine. I only took a little break in between all that. But for 9 years, it was just a routine and a huge part of my life. And so it took a little time to get used to. But now I'm looking back on it just super grateful and good memories.
Chandler, you had such an amazing run on the show. You were on for a while and then you left and then you came back and now it's kind of played out for now.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about, do you feel like it's an ending or do you feel like?
Yeah. I mean, it feels like a good ending to me. Certainly better than the previous ending I had. But yeah, I mean, I think they really did justice to the Will and Sonny story, and I think it was a really nice touch that they put, the flashbacks in. We got to sort of, walk through that relationship one last time. I think, their presence will always sort of be felt in Salem, so that they're not going to be gone forever. I'm sure people are going to talk about them, what they're doing in Arizona off screen, but yeah, it feels like a good conclusion.
When you guys, I know you've talked about this, Freddie, you've documented a lot of this on your Freddie and Alyssa's show, which is so popular. Congratulations on that. And for keeping everybody, all of the Wilson fans and everybody that loves you and Chandler kind of abreast of everything. I think you really took everybody through it, of what was happening, when the air dates were, what was going on.
Well, thank you.
When you guys filmed that last day and I was listening to your show, you did not get the opportunity to finish together, correct? You did your final scene and then Chandler, you had to come back?
Yeah.
What like happened there?
A week and a half later.
They really made it hard for you.
Yeah, I mean, that's just scheduling, I think we were in different sets for a couple things, but I mean, it wasn't it would have been kind of cool to walk off set, together holding hands, but I think it was just I don't know. Freddie, what do you think?
Yeah, it was just interesting because a lot of the times, I think even when I left the first time for a handful of months there, you're really saying goodbye. So I think the emotion would have even been more real if we knew that actually saying goodbye Salem for now was the last thing we both did, and then walked off, and then we got to kind of say goodbye to everyone together. But like you said, the scheduling of it, you can't, every set, everything they do is really rigidly scheduled for the production. So it just didn't end up that way. And we still had a nice time exiting. We were able to say goodbye and stuff, but it would have been cool if it lined up where we both could have walked off and then.
That's how we all see it that have followed the show. We all see you like walking off together and everybody hug, and it just didn't happen that way.
Yeah.
So did you guys, when you both found out about leaving the show and you found out about that 6 script, or you basically opened it together to find out how it would end? Is that kind of what happened that day?
Well, oddly enough, I mean, how many times, Chandler, I feel like we usually talk about the scripts. We are rarely together when a script comes, and it just so happened that we were running lines after our 9-week break. We were just back. We were trying to get the rust off because you just feel weird after 9 weeks anyway. Sometimes a 2-week hiatus, you feel strange. And we were just sitting there, and I still had faith. I go, something's going to happen. And then we got the 6 script, and we opened it. I think I asked you, Chandler, I go, do you want to look at the last page, or should we read it in order? I think we're both like, last page.
Yeah.
And then we saw the Goodbye Salem for Now, and then I flipped back to the flashbacks, and I was like, oh, wow, this is like like all the flashbacks makes it seem like it wasn't just going to be a 2-week trip to Arizona. It felt pretty final.
Do you guys get sentimental at all about what you have created? I mean, how can you not?
It's hard to feel sentimental when you're in it, you know, because you're just working and you're just like go, 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 go. But I think, you know, when I get a chance to watch the air show, or, you know, as time passes and I look back on, you know, the scenes that we did, definitely there's a sense of pride and nostalgia. Yeah, I mean, I imagine Freddie feels this way too. I mean, you know, so I bet a lot of money that he does, but I think we're both really proud of the work that we did. And I think it's only going to, as we move forward, it's only going to grow like more precious in our hearts, like that time.
Freddie?
Yeah, that's well said. I think it's because even when I look back on some of those moments, or when we were younger, it took a couple years to look back and then to be able to just witness it. Because when you're in the grind, that was the hardest thing about this. Was actually the 7 months that I remembered everything that was going to happen, because as it was airing, I wasn't filling my head with new storyline. But throughout all the years, it was hard for me to even connect, because I was already, like I said this on our podcast Tuesday, that we knew we weren't getting Allie's baby before Thanksgiving. So just think about how long you know those stories. So it takes time before you look back. But when him and I were young, it's like crazy. We grew up. Like, I feel if you're like 32 to 42, there's not much change. The fact that we were early 20s into 30s, we grew as people, and you can see the little boy faces and then grow up to be like young men or men.
Yeah.
Chandler, what was your initial, when you first met Freddie, and you were like, they said, this is going to be the guy that you're going to be involved with on the show. What is your initial reaction to him? What did you first think?
Well, I saw Freddie test, and he was by far, I thought, he was my choice. I thought he was definitely the best, and like seemed like the best fit for the role. So I was really excited. I just remember feeling like this guy is so different from me, and that like, and how he looks and how he carries himself. And sort of his like acting style was so natural and effortless. So I was sort of excited. I mean, I was really excited to get to work with him, and a little, maybe a little anxious that I felt like, well, I'm gonna have to work hard to sort of keep up, you know.
Freddie, what did you think? So you screen tested with Chandler. That's when you first.
No, he didn't screen test with me. He screen tested with Adrian, right, Freddie? And then I was just watching in the shadows.
Watching in the shadows, lurking, and
yeah.
I think you came in, Chandler. No, didn't you come in to the Brady pub and we had basketball tickets?
Oh crap! Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. I don't know why I don't remember that. Yeah, I think I did. I did come in.
So there was a scene. You did a test with him?
Yeah, I guess I must have. Yeah.
Okay. I think it was towards just the end, though. I think the bulk of it was me with my mom, and then you came in at the end and kind of had tickets but I don't think we knew we were going to be love interest at that time, did we?
I think I had a feeling because I had known that they told me that Will was going to have a coming out story, and I'm like, well, why would they put me in this scene? Why would I be testing with, you know what I mean? So I had a, yeah.
So you deduced You
Yeah,
deduced.
I deduced. Yeah, read between the lines.
Yeah. So you meet Chandler in this situation, Freddie, and what's your first impression of him at that point?
He was just super nice and was super talented. And when it came to the test, you're just really nervous. So I really don't remember much of it, to be honest. I just remember making Judy cry, which was like a really cool moment. Because I remember in the rehearsal, I was like, I got to get her to cry because it'll make an impact. So I remember saving my best stuff for the tape. And then the thing with Chandler was just super quick. So I just remember just being really welcomed, Chandler being really nice and awesome, and then trying to make Judy cry. And then I left and kind of didn't remember what the hell happened because I think I was just really nervous.
You did a great job. I think you poked her in the eye. That's how you got her to cry. You just
I had to do something.
poke faster than the eye.
Ouched her in the eye while nobody was looking.
Yeah, and then suddenly the tears, and they're like, "Wow, this guy really."
You're like, I am.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's what Chandler told me to do. Actually, he goes, "I've been here for a while, and if I can give you one tip, you got to poke her in the eye because Judy doesn't cry easily.
Yeah.
So sometimes you have to use your fingers." So I do remember that. Yeah.
Sometimes you got to poke yourself in the eye too. It works on everybody.
And I bet you both have poked yourselves in the eye a few times in those cheers that you now, where did Guy Wilson fit into all this? Was he auditioning to Freddie for the same role? Isn't that the story? He was auditioning for Sonny?
Yeah. Yeah, it was me, him, and then a handful of other people who auditioned and tried to make Judy cry. It was all the same day. And but then they were a fan of Guy's work, so they were able to bring him back months later. But yeah, he originally read for Sonny.
So interesting. So when you look at the journey that you guys went on, I mean, do you realize, think back to the very beginning, Chandler, the amount of press that was coming out, and Freddie too. Freddie, you were the first openly gay character on Days of Our Lives. You were the first one. And that was a big deal. And then Chandler, you were going to have this coming out story. And did you guys back then, what were the concerns you had? Did you have any concerns like of playing this because it felt like a lot of weight was on it and all eyes were on you guys to deliver in this story?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Probably my biggest concern was that my trailer wasn't big enough. That was a problem that had to be with.
They have trailers, soap operas?
Yeah, I mean, I think we both really felt that we knew that Days was putting a lot of heart and work into the story, and that they were taking a risk by telling it, right? And putting it up to, moving it to the forefront for so prominently. So I think we both felt the weight of that, and that we needed to do our parts, right, to create the best story possible.
Freddie, what did you think? Because you were there. Yeah.
I think a two-part of it. One is that, I wanted to tell a compelling, truthful story, and I wanted people to believe in our love. And I remember the first year and a half, I told publicity I didn't want to be asked about my sexual orientation because I didn't want to have all this press around me and then come out and say, I'm straight. Like, I just didn't feel right. I wanted to keep my sexual orientation private and let people fall in love with the characters. So I was only able to do that for like a year and a half. But as you go to events and stuff, and then social media got bigger. So and then that was just naturally going to come out. So I came out as straight, actually. And the other thing that I gradually evolved in understanding the importance, because I was a young actor and this is one of my bigger roles. So I was kind of self-involved in the sense of, I'm just so happy to have a job, and how important this is something that it became more and more important as the audience grew, the character grew, and I grew as a person, to the point now where I'm extremely aware of the impact that we've made. So it's just really cool to look back at the body of work.
And on the impact of that, I just wanted to talk with both of you about that. So Freddie, I remember, and we've talked about this before, so you were on my podcast, Soap Nation Live, and we got this caller, this man called in. I just remember being it was such an emotional call, saying how Freddie and Chandler helped him come out, and then he got the courage to, be who he is. And you remember that, Freddie? And then you spoke to him, and he just made his life and day. And when you hear somebody like that was so emotional, I remember that man thanking me so much for being able to speak to you. You really help people. That was a perfect example.
I remember specifically. I remember the exact department I was in too, having that, because we did it over the phone, right? Wasn't it that one that we were talking?
Yeah.
But I think the story started coming out more and more because we were there for a long time. Sometimes it's great to have a recurring of 6 episodes to tell a story between 2 men, but maybe that's not enough to impact people. The fact that we have shot 800 to 1,000, I know Chandler's done a couple hundred more than me, but like hundreds and hundreds of episodes that allowed people to get comfortable. And even more recently, I've had a few people, one in particular I'm remembering, where she is a straight woman. I don't know how old she was, but she said, because of watching Will and Sonny, if my grandson or my son or anyone would ever come out to be gay, I would be understanding because you helped educate me on what it's like to love between 2 men. So no one's even come out, but she has a different understanding of what it is to be gay because of our story. And so think about all the people that we've educated over a decade and who have fallen in love with us. So it's just become more and more and more and more meaningful over this past 9-year run.
Chandler, because you had the coming out story, Will's coming out story, I know so many people reached out to you. And I know people were always, they saw Will's struggle. It was Will's struggle. It was so hard to watch, but so true. Are you proud of that? And did you get a lot of people saying, did you ever get people coming up to you saying, I feel comfortable coming out because Will was able to do it to his grandma? Or did you experience any of that? Or?
Yeah, definitely. I think more in letters, right? Letters or messages than interactions in person. Especially in LA, we're working a lot. It's pretty rare that you get a chance to talk with someone who has watched your work. But yeah, I mean, it just made it was just all it made it all worth it. Like all the effort, the hours just studying the lines and breaking the scenes down and discovering the beats. And I mean, of course you want to do that for yourself, but when you get, when you get the experience that you are also, what you're doing is benefiting other people, it makes it so much more gratifying. I remember a letter I got after one scene. It was in Rafe's apartment where Will spits at himself in the mirror. And I remember thinking, like, that's kind of dramatic, right? But I got a letter from someone saying that he had done that same thing, right? Like he was disgusted by his own appearance. And that was one of the many realizations I had, that this is, this story is a story that people have lived, right? A lot of people have lived through, and I was privileged to be able to tell it and for them to see it.
Was there any part of this journey for you, Chandler, because you always had so much emotional, you both did. Chandler, in the scenes with Deidre, with Marlena, with her being the person to help him come out and everything that he went through. Was there a part of is there any scene that you remember that was just, how am I going to get through this scene? Or how am I going to tackle this? Or were you or did you, with all that? Because they challenged you.
I mean, during the coming out phase, there wasn't really a scene where I didn't feel that way. I mean, every script I was like, I had my initial reaction was fear, like, oh my God, how am I going to be able to pull this off? How am I going to do it? So, I mean, but that just forced me to work, right? Like work harder than I've ever worked at anything in my life. And, you know, I was so lucky to have Deidre, who is a master actor, you know, be there in those scenes with me and give so much of herself, right? She made it as easy on me as she possibly could, just by being so present and exactly, you know, using her performance to draw emotion out of me. And that's just so generous. And that's not something you get from everyone that you're in scenes with. But Deidre is one of those rare people.
Deidre, I'll tell you, I remember scheduling interviews, whether it be for press, the app, whatever it was, and we'd say, so Deidre, we'd like to do this with Chandler. If it's with Chandler, she's there. Like she loves you so much and she thinks you're quite an extraordinary actor and really was always all in if we ever asked her to do something with you. And I think that speaks to you. You know, she really did. I mean,
I also have a little bit of, I won't go into specifics, but blackmail on her. You know, I could send her to jail for a really long time if I wanted to. So it's in her best interest to be, you know, do those.
There's always a backstory, kids. There's always a backstory. Freddie, the goodbye scenes that everybody saw, was there one that was more harder for you to do, of saying goodbye to, you know, Wally, Judy, who was Bonnie, you know, was there one that Victor, you know, who was the Camilla, like what was hard?
All of them on screen were equal because there was each different relationships with Billy, with you know, Uncle Vic, with like it was tough with Judy because she was Bonnie, and so my character was speaking to her not as if it was my mom. You know, that would have been, I would have broke down if I had to say goodbye to Adrian, because she would have, I would have just been like a mess. The thing I remember the most is the moments that because I'm close with everyone on set, but Judy, Wally, and Chandler, I worked with the most and built a even deeper relationship. So I think Chandler and I, just mingling in the dressing rooms and really experiencing this together was emotional. And then it just so happened Judy and Wally were there and we all had a goodbye in the hallway. And it just really meant the world. It was super touching. And I just really loved them.
What about
them being a parent was easy to play because I genuinely fell. I guess you wouldn't fall in love, but you know what I mean? I love them as people so much, genuinely. And it was so heartfelt to be able to say goodbye and have that cool moment together. Because Adrian's character is gone. So the fact that she was there as Bonnie made that moment sweet that I could say goodbye to Judy and Wally.
Chandler, did you have any that were more emotional for you at all, or what?
I mean, I think what Freddie said was right. On screen, you know, you have deep relationships with every character, so you know they're all emotional. Off screen, you know, you see the other actors a lot on set, but not every day. If you're not in the same scenes, you really don't interact with them. But the crew you see every day. You know, they're there every day, and they're every day you're there, they're there. So I think off screen that was probably the hardest. You know, like saying goodbye to Nikki, who like who like patched my zits up like every morning. You know, just those are the people that you spend a lot of time with. So that was hard too, in addition to saying goodbye to the cast members.
Yeah.
And you know what, Chandler, if I can just add one more thing to this too. Did you feel that because everyone comes and goes at Salem and it's been so many comings and goings, I almost felt too, like with all the goodbyes, do you feel like everyone was kind of just like, you could see the emotion that they were sad we were leaving, but people come and go so much that it's almost like we were just saying goodbye for a long hiatus or something? Or
yeah.
I mean, I think it's hard. It's kind of exhausting, right, to keep track of people that are leaving.
I was going to say, like, who's on the show? And wait, they're back already. So I'm like, did we just...
Yeah, and I think, I mean, there was a lot of that, like, you know, goodbye for now, right? So yeah, that's true. I mean, it's the reality of the business. So I think it makes it dampens the blow of the farewells a little bit. Yeah, the fact that you're just one of the people leaving that day. Tomorrow there'll be a couple others.
Or you cry your eyes out and confess your love, and then 3 weeks later you're back.
You're back.
Yeah.
Well, people were confused. I don't know if you saw with the new promo that came out this week. You're in the promo, so they're like, "Oh, are they coming back this fall?"
Yeah.
So that's not true. I mean, not that we know of.
No.
Yeah.
I
just want to clarify that because they were like, why are they in the fall promo? I thought, are they coming back? And I didn't want it to be misleading for them,
Yeah, I'm not sure why. Maybe they figured out how to make hologram versions of us, and those are way cheaper. So
voiceover.
Voiceover
or holograms. I'm in.
Yeah.
So, okay, I want you both to tell me what was your favorite storyline on the show during your time together, and what was the least favorite? What was the one you guys were like, how are we going to do this?
I don't think I ever had one between us that I disliked or liked more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because they threw everything at you guys. Remember, we would have these interviews, and it was like Wilson became this power couple. They were treated like, they even put Paul and Reed in there. They made it a triangle. They broke them up.
I don't think I ever disliked anything. I think if anything, like there were times that there's like sweet moments where me and Chandler worked together for 2 months straight. And it's just beautiful and awesome and easy and fun and comfortable and challenging all mixed together. Then there were times with Christopher Sean that just made it interesting and fun. When us three got together, the Straight to Tape gang, when Greg Rickert was there for a little while, that was really fun. I think that was where I laughed the most, and it was the most enjoyable. Anytime that we were able to have some sort of a rescue mission, or we're creeping around spying on people, was pretty cool. But I don't think there was any storyline I disliked. Am I forgetting any, Chandler? What do you think? He remembers.
He knows. Okay, what is it?
Well, so in terms of favorite, I mean, obviously the Will and Sonny falling in love, right, will forever be number one in my mind. Aside from that, I really loved them bringing Christopher Sean in, right? And first of all, I just love Christopher Sean in general. But just that, having like a third person, because like Freddie said, a lot of times we were sort of in our own little bubble, right? And just having a third person who was another really strong actor and gave us a triangle, right? That was really cool. That was so much fun. There was some, so I was not I was not on the show at this time. I remember watching the Jungle Fever storyline and thinking like, oh man, thank God I don't have to.
That was I wrote that as one of the worst storylines of that year in soaps. I'm just saying. So I said that even on
wacky. Also, I mean, personally, so remember the evil eye part of that, like the Will brain tumor arc, where Will like sort of really buys into the fact that he was cursed, right? Because Leo like gave him like a mean look. That was hard for me just because I try to make my characters as intelligent as possible. So it was hard to play sort of like what felt like a 180 where, Will was a reporter. He had a really analytical mind, but suddenly he's big into voodoo, and so that was tough. And Freddie got to play the rational one in that, which I was jealous of. But yeah, so, I mean, but like Freddie said, there's nothing I really disliked, but there were, you feel protective of your character, right? And sometimes in the interest of plot, your character sort of has to act out of character.
And I think too, sometimes when we would have stints of exposition weeks, those are always a little more boring and actually difficult because you have to know what you're saying. There's really no room for improv when you're giving exposition to a lot going on. And there's times we were secondary where we weren't really having a driving story, but we were filling in what's going on. And that's the most difficult acting. I'd rather cry or fall in love or get into a fight or yell. It's
more fun.
Exposition is just a little daunting.
It's almost like there's almost like the A and B stories were happening on screen, and then we were like the couple like watching it with the audience and being like, wow, wasn't that exciting, kids? Like, didn't you like when so and so said this to so and so, and then that happened? Yeah. So yeah, the exposition is hard because you have to. It's harder. You have to work harder to make personal attachments to the things that you're saying, right? Because it doesn't really involve you or the relationship with the person that you're on screen with. So yeah, Freddie, that's a good point. That's not the most fun scenes.
And it didn't happen often. It only happened a few times here and there, but
Yeah.
What did you think when Will all of a sudden was like marrying Justin and Kayla? He was now a minister. I was going to ask you about that, Chandler.
Yeah, it sort of came out of left field, but I was like, hey, sure. I mean, I'll do it. I was sort of, I'm like, man, I got to be in another wedding, but at least I got to, and I had to stand up. But it was, it was fun. I mean, I think there was there's a justification for that, right? I mean, Justin is his father-in-law, so, but it was funny. Yeah, but it took me by surprise.
Do you ever wish you guys? I know Guy Wilson had replaced Chandler, and the wedding had happened, and you had to do. And I know you were talking about this, Freddie, on your show. Like you had the wedding, and they wanted to make sure the person that was cast was going to be the person that got the ring, I guess, and the proposal, and then the.
Mm-hmm.
Chandler, do you ever wish you were there to play that scene at that time?
Yeah. Oh, totally. That's probably my number one regret of the show. I feel like I don't know. I'm still kind of pissed about that, to be honest. Because I mean, that was what the whole story was building up to, and we got to like film some flashbacks and whatnot, but. And I mean, and what I'm about to say is going to sound selfish because it is, but I felt like I earned that, right? Like I wanted to be there in those scenes with Freddie, and at the climax of this long, winding road to love that they both walked together. So that, I mean, it was disappointing. I was really, I mean, it took me a while to get over it, and still sometimes it irks me, but it is what it is.
Freddie, I don't know how you got through with Peggy McKay's amazing monologue at that wedding.
Yeah, it was, it's incredible. When people act extremely well, it makes everyone in the room a better actor. And it was just amazing to watch and to be in the same headspace as the character. It's really wonderful when it's appropriate for your character to cry and Freddie to cry. Working with someone like Greg Rickert, Freddie wanted to laugh. Sonny angry. And so, yeah, Peggy, it just allowed me to cry. And crying can sometimes be difficult. So any help you can get and watch a talented actress just was incredible. So I'm glad I got to experience that.
So during your guys' run on the show, Emmys came your way. And Chandler, you won 3 in a row, which is quite the feat. Do you remember what it was like winning the first one compared to the third one? Did anything mean more to you as time went on? How did you feel about it? Because you became this very decorated actor at a very young age, where many people don't even win one ever.
I mean, I think the first one was a surprise, right? And I was really nervous. The second one, I felt of the 3, I felt like I better win this year. I feel like that was like the meat of the coming out story. And the third year was the biggest surprise because I was not even on the show at that point. And so I just sort of came to, have a good time and see, DAYS people on the, I was in a table like all the way in the back.
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 It took me 15 minutes to get up to the stage. But It was great. I mean, and it gave me an opportunity to say thanks one last time. You know, I attribute that win to me having the shortest reel. I think people appreciate when you don't make them sit through, 40 minutes of something, and you show them all you need to show them in 5. So I'm going to say my strategy was on point there for that year. But I mean, each year was special, and it was more confirmation that the story that we did, that Freddie and I did, was reaching people. And I think I was just lucky to have the more emotional arc, right? Like, Sonny was a steady hand, right? He was out, like he was the shoulder to cry on. He was the wise one. And the way they wrote Will, I got to do all the wild mood swings and the lashing out and whatnot. And I think it was just, that was lucky for me, right? Because then I got to do those scenes. And those are the type of scenes that, can possibly win you daytime Emmys, yeah.
And then Freddie, you win an Emmy. I remember all of this because I got to talk to you guys backstage immediately after your wins. It was a whirlwind for you. But Freddie, what was that like that you finally won one, and for what you submitted, which I remember was quite amazing too. So
yeah, thank you. Yeah, I was feeling just pretty confident because I was thinking it's a 1 in 4 shot. And I was looking at it just based on the numbers of that. I go, there's a 1 in 4 shot here. Like, I think I've got a good chance. So I was just really excited about it. And I think in the moment, and I think Chandler can probably attest to this too, you're kind of on cloud 9 for about 72 hours. And then it just becomes normal.
Yeah.
Where I was aware I'm an Emmy winner and this was the coolest thing. And then after 72 hours, I can only imagine maybe it's like a wedding or something where you're just like hyped and then you're just like, oh, it's normal again. But now that I'm done with the show and I'm also kind of moving into a new chapter of my life, depending on what I do in the entertainment industry, I love that I've got a decade of work in an industry that 1 out of a million work in, and I have a trophy. I kind of feel like it's something, if I never go back to, I have like the emotional attachment, and then the not arbitrary, but like an Emmy too makes me feel really good that I have that. But then lastly on the Emmy talk, this year I feel is another chance that I have to potentially win because of the Adrian dying and like even the blow up on Maggie. I feel those are two combined scenes that can win an Emmy. Where the other years I feel I was kind of scratching at the surface trying to find those kind of scenes. So I'm really, I didn't want this to be my last year. But I am so happy about the storyline that I got and how I got to stretch my instrument in so many ways in this past year. So I'm really excited to submit for next year. Maybe I'll pull a number 2 out of the hat.
Chandler, will you submit, or what do you think?
Yeah, I'm definitely not going to submit any scenes in that storyline with Freddie because he's just going to show me up. It's going to be more of a reel for him than it is for me. Yeah, he really, God, those, it sort of gives me chills thinking about what he did in those scenes. I remember in the hospital.
Oh, the hospital. Oh my God.
Justin just walks in and says, she's gone. And like Freddie just like breaks, just like you can just see him break like right in front of your eyes. And I'm just like, oh my God, that was so powerful. And just the mix of rage and grief and knowing that like, it's deep down that it's really not like that he's lashing out and he's going to maybe regret it later. But it just, there's so many colors of that I was sort of in awe, just sort of standing in there, just being like, oh, whoa. So, yeah, I think I'll submit, but not that stuff. I'm going to have to find.
But remember when everyone was literally putting upon Will, like blaming him for everything. They blamed him for Sonny, Justin, Will was to blame because he caused the crash at that time, and Will.
I never got any. Will never got any written apologies for that, for the fact that everyone was yelling at him and it wasn't even his fault. So he's still waiting for those.
My point, there are some good moments in there though for you. I'm just saying, Chandler, because it was heartbreaking because you're like in your eyes, it's all in your eyes. And I remember everybody just coming at him and he's like, you know, you could just see he's just so doesn't know what to do. And he's going to lose the guy he loves and Justin, he's like part of the family and he's just, you know, he's destroyed. Like Will's destroyed at that point.
Oh, thanks. Well, that's because Freddie was destroying me on camera in front of everybody. But
you knocked it out of the park, man.
I didn't have to do anything.
To watch. When I watched it back, because those are one of the few scenes, because you know what it is, maybe you're different, but for me, when I'm crying, I'm almost have to be in a different place. I can't kind of come in and out for the day. So yeah. I didn't really get to experience watching like I usually can you and Wally work. I was so in my own head performing that I didn't get to see you two until I got to watch it. And it was phenomenal. I mean, it all worked together. It was just beautiful. So I thank you because I owe you the emotion I was able to give was because of working opposite of you and Wally. So
well, the same. I mean, right back at you. And we gotta work out. Let's maybe submitting in 2 different categories. So I think that'd be amazing.
At this point, you know, and maybe it'll change, but because I do have one, it almost gives you the Hail Mary. You know, it's like, let me go for the lead maybe. Or Chandler and I can both do supporting or both do lead because then maybe one of, you know, we'll have a double chance of one of us winning it. So
maybe I'll do younger. I mean, I shaved. I shaved. That's the only one I've had success with.
When you guys think about the fans, when you think about their support over these 9 years or the whole run of your story, what can you say about them and how they've supported you? And did you even think that would be possible when you started, or you maybe had no idea of fandom, but they've really been there every step of the way, it seems like. And they're heartbroken that you're gone.
Yeah, you don't really realize it, at least I didn't, what it could be. You're just so in it. You know, when you look back, you're just kind of in awe because you're like, wow, it's incredible. You just don't realize how incredible it is day to day until you look back on it all. But I've always thanked the fans, and I'm thanking them again because if they wouldn't have rallied behind us, you know, maybe our exit would have been sooner. I think it was the strong love that allowed us to keep telling this story. And I know there's a lot of outrage that we were let go, and I know there's going to be a lot of heartbreak, but I've been sharing with everyone too. It's, you know, even though we're going to be sad, we got to celebrate the good that we've done and that book of work and that story, how many people it's impacted in a positive way. And that's how I want to look back at it. I just want to look at this great body of work where we've impacted lives, changed lives. I know Chandler and I, on a personal level, we had a great time. We got to do what we love for work. I mean, all of it, met great friends, built a skill set, and it's all because the fans supported us and continue to. So I just want to thank them from the bottom of my heart for rallying behind us as individuals and as our characters.
Chandler?
Yeah, I mean, I completely echo that. I mean, it truly is. The support of the fans is what made the story possible and kept the story going. And really, that's the bottom line. Yeah. So I'll always be eternally grateful to them.
So you guys now, there's a new parts of your lives, new ventures, I guess you guys are about to embark on. I know, Chandler, you're heading to Georgia. Freddie, you're heading to Florida. Is that correctamundo? Or
yeah, the end of September, me and my fiance are going to be road tripping. We're going to take a week and make it as enjoyable as possible instead of a tedious, long-ass drive. But we've been wanting to go to Florida for many years. We were just looking for the right time to start this next chapter of getting married and having kids. And we want to be closer to our family and go to a place that's summer all year round and be on the same time zone as our families and all of that. So we're just looking to start this new chapter, and it just seems like this was the time to make that move. So yeah, in less than a month.
Less than a month. You are definitely going.
Yes.
Yes.
Movers already packed, house rented already, deposit in. So there's no turning back at this point.
And you will continue, I believe, the Freddie and Alyssa show, that will continue?
Yes. Yeah. That's going to be our main focus, as well as writing and creating content. And then I'm still going to keep my agent, because you can put things on tape these days. And I've even told people about DAYS, the commute will be rigorous, but I'll cross that bridge if it ever comes. So I just want to fly into LA to work. But I want to live in Florida, and I want to buy a house and start a family there, and then kind of use that as my hub moving forward. And that's kind of what we're looking forward to, to finally get some property. Adults buy homes. I didn't know that.
Yes, adults buy.
Unless you live in LA, you have to wait till you're 76 years old.
It's a whole different thing in LA than when you got correct. Yeah. So how has Alyssa been? I mean, she must have been. Was she through the journey of not being let go at DAYS, and how was she through that? Did she help you through that? I mean, you must have had some difficult emotional moments.
Yeah, she really helped me through it. Thanks for asking. I don't know how I would have survived.
So that's who she was talking to all those nights.
Chandler. She called Chandler. She didn't talk to you. She called Chandler.
No, she's been on the journey with us this entire time. So she's been aware of literally everything from the beginning till now. And she's always been super supportive. So when we were making this big decision too in our life, we both took everything into consideration, and we're both on the same page. And she's been nothing but supportive the entire process. And she's really proud of me, and that makes me feel good. She really loves what I've accomplished, and just like all the fans and the love, she feels it too. So we're both very grateful.
And Chandler, you are making a move?
Going to Atlanta. Really excited about it. Mostly because Freddie and Alyssa are leaving, and I don't want to be that far away from them.
So you're not that far.
Got to stay on the same coast. And my family lives there. It's going to be really, I feel like I've missed so many family events, right? And sort of missed my siblings grow up, and I don't want to do that anymore. So I'm going to be there and part of the family moving forward.
Will you continue? Would you act some more? I mean, do you want to keep acting, or do you know kind of where you see yourself going in the future?
So plan A is to find an independently wealthy widow who just wants a few years of companionship before she passes on her wealth.
You get the truth right here, people.
Yeah. But if that doesn't work out, I'm always going to be passionate about acting. I think ideally I'd want to be in a place where I just do it. I don't have to act for money. I could take a role if I want to. And so I'm not sure what the future holds in that regard, but always going to be open to it for sure.
So you will be in the same coast. So Freddie, he may drop in to Florida.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
I keep asking him, I'm like, text me your address. And he's like, sorry, it doesn't send.
Yeah, it doesn't. Well, we did talk about that though. We're only going to be Atlanta to the Orlando area is nothing. Yeah. So, we'll probably connect, especially when everything kind of clears up in the world and traveling becomes easier. When
Disney World opens up, I'm going to be there, twice a week. So I'll just pop in,
grab some lunch.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a plan to continue.
Yeah.
Wilson goes to Disney World.
Oh my God.
It's a new docudrama.
You have to make a decision when something becomes real. Because I really, truly am happy with the book of work. Could we have continued? Of course, you can continue a story forever, but then there's many shows that, sometimes go too long. There's a great show and you're like, they should have stopped at season 5, but they went to season 8 and the last 3 aren't that good. There's still that part that I'm really proud of the book of work that we have. And so if there's ever an opportunity to continue it, whether it's on the show or in some other capacity, then I think we'll have to cross that bridge and discuss what that would look like. But Chandler hit it on the head. I mean, you do have to make a sacrifice of leaving your family in this industry to work. And we're so grateful that we get to do what so many people, like it's such a rarity to be successful in this industry. So I feel proud of that. But you do make a sacrifice. You know, I have not had Thanksgiving dinner with my family in 15 years. And there's all those moments. I'm not complaining, but it is a give and take that you have to do. And I'm at that age now, and my parents are getting older, and, you know, I really just need to be around them. And it's always hard because it's so fresh of leaving. I don't want to seem so excited to be leaving, but it's not about I'm excited about leaving Salem. I'm just really excited about my next chapter of my life. You know, I just am really, really excited, and it just feels so right. So I'm trying to bridge that gap of letting the fans know that I've had 7 months to deal with it, where they're dealing with it this week. They're like, I haven't had 7 months to grieve, where we had that. And now I'm just looking at it with a smile, and I'm just like, I'm just driving. I just can't wait to start this new chapter and feel that excitement again that I felt when I first moved here.
When you said goodbye, Salem, for now, the final line that we saw on the show, were you like, how am I going to say this line, goodbye? Like, was it weighing on you saying that line at all? Just like, or just, was it a throwaway line to you, or like, did you feel like it was an important line, or like, who cares at that point?
I told him to say it like the Terminator, but he didn't.
Did he try different impersonations than you chose? Which one?
Yeah, Arnold. Yeah.
We did a Lino-rama, and they went with the. I think it was just a genuine, goodbye Salem, for now. Like, just. And also it was a huge tag. So there's sometimes I in my mind know what will produce the best show in general. Sometimes don't you tag things, Chandler? Like, not even that big line, but lines in general, you sometimes tag to create a better.
And I know if I don't tag them, I'm going to get a note to tag it. So do it. They're going to make me do it again, so.
Or when you have to do the tag at the end of a scene, and you have to like have an expression on your face.
Yeah.
Now, is that always tricky for you guys, or do you think about like what? A lot of people say, "I'm thinking about what I'm going to go eat for dinner," and that's the look they have on their face.
I feel like they've started cutting away a little bit faster than when I first started. So at first, I felt like the tag lasted for hours. I'm like, oh my God. Let's just stare at it. Just have a staring contest with whoever I'm in the scene with. But now I feel like they don't really do that as much. So yeah.
As long as I'm not holding back a laugh, I can stare forever because I'm in it. But if I'm holding back a laugh, I need it to cut in 2 seconds, or I'll stare at Chandler's forehead. I can't look in his eyes. If I see his soul, I'll break. So I stare right above his eyes at his forehead. And that's how you cannot laugh if it's a funny scene of some sort, or it's an emotional scene, but we were just like messing around. So then it became funny. And so you're like so upset, but then deep down that there's like an inside joke going on. So I'm like, oh God, I can't look at him in the eyes.
So do you guys think, since you started, do you think how when you started and you were LGBTQ characters, and when you first started this whole thing to where we are now, what do you think about how entertainment industry roles are in portrayals of gay characters? Do you think it's just grown tremendously, or do you think there's still more to go? Like, what would you say to like how that is in the industry right now, as far as the amount of portrayals of gay characters on television?
I think there's a long way to go, but I definitely can see the difference between 2010 and 2020.
I agree with Freddie. I think we've come a long way, but still have further to go. What is it? Like the arrow of progress bends, gradually towards justice, or I butchered that quote, but I mean, I think that's true in life and in the entertainment industry as well. I think representation is getting more diverse and equitable, and I think that's a good thing.
Well, you guys, I just want to thank you so much for taking the time today. This meant so much to me, and I know it means so much to so many people. It has been such a pleasure each and every step of the way with both of you. interviewing you, promoting you, talking with you, knowing you as friends, your professionalism, and your immeasurable talent. And I cannot tell you how I'm sad it's ending, but I know you guys are so amazing that you're going to go on to great things. And we probably will see you back in Salem at some point, because everybody does come back. But maybe, you know, but even if not, kudos to you for an amazing, amazing run and bringing such depth to these characters that everyone will remember forever. So I just want to say that to both of you. And thank you so much for doing this today with me. It's such a nice button on everything.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Right back at you. We've really enjoyed working with you, and you've just always been so kind to us and professional. And we always mess with you during interviews. We actually took this one pretty serious today.
Yeah, way more serious than I wanted to, but that was for you, Michael.
See you soon.
Bye.
Thank you.